we go. Oh, hey, we're back with more IGN Live at E3 2019. Now, Astral Chain is the insane new action game from Platinum, and it's coming to Nintendo Switch this August. Here to tell me more is IGN's Daniel Robson and
Hello.
Nintendo's JC Rodrigo.
Yo.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
So Astral Chain, how did this come together, and how did it end up on Switch? It looks very different than like what we usually see from Nintendo at E3.
Yeah, so I mean, Platinum had this great idea for kind of an all-new kind of synergetic action game where the pitch was something like so you have you're controlling your character, but you also have something called a Legion that's next to you. And so you'll start to see as you start to play the game that there's this kind of interchange, and they call it kind of synergetic action, where you have to kind of understand both the parameters of yourself as well as your Legion, which Legion you have, and a couple of weapons. And it's just, you'll see what I mean. It's easier to see it when you're actually playing, but it's actually really, really fun. It's a very different take. Very Platinum Games, very high, fast-paced action, but it's also a mix of like action, a little bit of investigation, a little bit of puzzle. Check it out. We have some gameplay up now. So right now what you're looking at is they're kind of running through almost like a Times Square-ish kind of place. I think it's like Harmony something or other. And at this point, they're kind of doing a side quest, because you can have your main story quest, but this is also a side quest. And the side quest is like the haunted dumpster. And part of Astral Chain is something called the Astral Plane, which we just stepped into. The Astral Plane has these enemies. They're called generally Chimera is the name of the enemies. And you attack them. Now, what you're seeing is every time that your character attacks, Demetrius is pressing, that's who's the player back there, he's pressing the ZR button. Every time you see the Legion attacks, he's pressing the ZL button. By timing your ZR and ZL presses and also finishing moves like that, you can take down enemies in a bunch of different ways. Now it gets a little bit more interesting. Aside from just knowing when you can cancel, every time you see a blue flash, you cancel straight into one of those Legion animations and attacks. There's dodging, there's perfect calling, there's perfect dodge counterattacking. There's like the combat gets really deep and really interesting, because all it does is, even if you need to change up a combo, you can press like ZR ZR, ZL ZL, and maybe the next thing is wait a little bit and press ZL again. It's a completely different move. So a lot of depth, but simple controls.
That's like way more intense than I expected, and,
Yeah.
and like really cool to hear too, because I think Platinum's game, their games sort of scale. Sometimes you get sort of more arcadey hack and slash stuff, and then sometimes you get stuff that gets much deeper. And it sounds like that's where this is going. I was going to ask you if the game took place like in our world when I saw Times Square, and then very clearly there's more to it than that.
Yeah, it's a fantasy world. I mean, that'd be really crazy if something, an actual astral plane just kind of opened up a rift and all these creatures kind of came through. That's absolutely terrifying.
It's a 3-week.
That's true. So generally, he's the main mission is in the top right, question the locals. So again, that was just a side mission. We're still trying to question the locals here, and he's gunning it towards towards where he needs to be. But I think we're looking for a woman named Jenna, and she was spotted around here. And as a part of Neuron, which is the agency, you're part of a special task force, and that's kind of your job, is to kind of solve what's going on. Oh, yep, make sure that you're safe. Can't cross the street. Make sure that you're respect. And what's interesting is you shouldn't cross the street. You are still a cop. Now, and you should be obeying the rules like every good police person would do.
What?
Yeah, and actually this has a thing. So if you look in the top left, there's this kind of like flowery kind of items. It's 1,846.
Yeah.
Those are kind of like your cop points, or like good cop points. And by spending good cop, like putting away trash just like that, by kind of doing this, you have the ability to upgrade yourself. So there is benefit in being a good police officer.
I mean, I knew about the combat side. I didn't realize you were supposed to go around cleaning up the city. That's
so if you see trash, pick it up. Be good. Save the planet. Do the right thing.
That's like a lot to think about while you're also like in these gigantic epic battles. You're like, oh no, somebody put gum on the floor. I should clean that up.
But they are kind of separated. I mean, yeah, I can see Demetrius calling out, why are you? Oh, I see. You wanted to use it. Very clever. So he's actually hacking into the camera there, because the camera is actually tracking where Jenna was at this time.
Wow.
And so this is happening sometime in the past. So Demetrius is kind of following, this is what the camera saw. And go ahead, yeah, thanks for picking that up. Good cop, good cop. Who's a good police officer?
I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a police officer pick garbage up off the street.
You know what? This should set a shining example for all
I
police officers to
agree.
pick up garbage off the street.
More
and be
more
good.
cops should play Astral Chain.
Well,
Absolutely.
This is obviously, a game designed by a Japanese game company, and that
Yes.
we have clean streets in Japan.
I know.
Very
you know,
clean.
I'm
Yeah.
very
Very
envious.
clean.
Yeah.
Very envious of that.
So obviously the game is being directed by Taura-san, and it's his first game as a director. He came off Nier Automata,
That's right.
and it's being overseen by Kamiya-san, who's
Oh, yeah.
obviously, well, Bayonetta would be like a more recent example of his, work. And,
Mhm.
we actually had both of those guys and also Inaba-san on our show at Bit Summit last week
nice.
in Kyoto, in Japan, where Nintendo is from.
Mhm.
And they were talking about this sort of mentorship, and the idea of bringing up new talent within Platinum, and sort of overseeing, putting together a game like this. I think it's really, really interesting to see that there's all these like new ideas coming out of that company. It looks and feels like a Platinum game.
Yeah.
But there's loads of new stuff in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, for people that are fans of Platinum games, oh man, this will scratch the itch real quick. I mean, for me, I was also surprised when I started picking it up about how fun it is to do like these new elements, such as the good cop meter, the way that the place is actually designed. You have like training rooms and things, obviously, but then you also have maybe a slightly upset citizen here that can attack you, and you have to kind of chain bind them like that and kind of restrain them friendly. So I mean, that's all of these things contribute to kind of an experience that, yes, it's Platinum, but it's really something new, and they really are. It feels like they're taking a new direction with it, and it's really, really fun because it feels like the game pace kind of changes. It's not always the same thing. It's constantly evolving.
Yeah, it's also sort of like tonally consistent with that kind of goody two-shoes approach to use like non-lethal restraints on that guy instead of just beating him up in the street.
Come on, that's the right way to do things.
Yeah.
I mean, you are supposed to be the shining example of an officer, and that's
That's
exactly what. Good job, Demetrius. Way to be that shining example.
Now there's there's burger restaurants in this game. I want to
Yes.
know more about that.
Well, I mean, it's a larger burger. It's technically that's the name. It's larger burger, not a normal sized burger, but that's just the name of the place. Exclusive
Our
burger.
exclusive-
Try. Yep, our exclusive
large
burger. It's very
burger.
good.
There it is, the E3 exclusive larger burger right there. You heard it here first on IGN Live.
Yeah, so
I'm a big fan of burger restaurants in video games in general. I think most video games need a burger restaurant.
Top 10
But I digress.
video game.
I want to talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about the difficulty options in this game because obviously people will want to approach this game casually, but I think most people getting into this are going to want to bump the difficulty up. They're going to show off at how well they're playing the game, their combos and all that. How does that kind of stuff scale?
it scales. That's all I have to say. Because there's a lot of things to collect. I mean, just like with any good Nintendo game, right? You chew a little, you get a little. You chew a lot, you really go in there, oh man, you get a lot. And a couple of examples of that are not just the difficulty level, but how deep these things get. So for example, can you just stick with, so you have an X baton, right? Mm-hmm. The X baton can change into 3 different weapons, right? It's a sword, mostly for breaking shields, and it hits really hard. There's a regular small baton, which does really fast, quick attacks. And there's also a gun, which kind of keeps you like far distance, but you can deal damage. Now, you can think about it this way. You press the ZR button to attack, and let's just say that you have the sword. You can probably start off a combo with the sword, hit your Legion to attack, and then you can change in the middle of a combo your weapon. And there's a different combo outcome depending on what weapon you choose. And it gets deeper than that. There's multiple Legions. So not only do you have to think about the combination of your Legion and your weapon, you're thinking about when can you change between your different Legions and your weapons. And it's really fast. You just take the left plus control pad, go up or down, and you can see that there's the small baton. He's doing really quick, some good attacks, and there's also a Blade Legion that's happening right there, and that's a particular chain unique to the Blade Legion. So by combining all of these different things, skill trees, and you can unlock different moves, such as a counter if you spend some skill points by like tapping the stick up. There's even special attacks that each of the blades can do by holding down the button and pressing Y or pressing X, and they all have cooldowns. So it starts getting kind of silly.
Right, just how many different options you have to flip through on the fly.
And that's the fun. That's the fun of it all, because you realize, like, hey, I can actually chain this. Oh wait, what if I chain this and I change to my Arrow Legion? This is the Arrow Legion. A completely different moveset. None of these movesets are available to Sword. So it continues to get deeper and deeper the more you unlock.
How about for the people who one or two just a little. And if you wanted to sort of ignore some of the RPG elements and just go hard action, is that something you can do?
You could just pick whatever thing you want. You have basic combos that are like, ZR a couple times, ZL every time you see the blue flash, and you can still get through the whole game, no problem. All you have to do is, there's even a little bit of like puzzle elements, which will probably happen when you're in the Astral Plane. But again, easily accessible for people. Even if this is your first Platinum game, this is a heck of a game to start with.
I love how just like aesthetically bonkers this game is. Like running around with this giant mech on a chain that you're whipping around at people, and there's lighting effects everywhere. Everything's going nuts. Is that something that's going to scale, like the Astral Plane area here? Does it just get crazier and crazier as the game goes on?
Absolutely. It wouldn't be a Platinum Games game without it. So yeah, you're going to see a lot of that. Oh, man.
So, I mean, Nintendo obviously, you guys work with all kinds of developers, but I think working so directly with Platinum on games like Bayonetta and this.
Oh, and Wonderful 101.
And Wonderful 101, of course, right?
I was also working on that game. I loved it.
That word at E3 without us getting excited. That's like that's one of those. Yeah, Wonderful 101. Shout out to Wonderful 101.
Yeah.
I won't say any more than that. I hope that game comes to Switch someday.
Me too.
Like, what does working with a studio like Platinum? It must be so different than working with other developers, right?
It is, and you could tell that they have such a passion for the games that everyone's got passion. They particularly like, their kind of game style, and it's infectious. When you hear Kamiya-san and Nava-san start getting excited about games, you can't help but also feel that excitement. So really thankful that Platinum's come on board with Nintendo Switch with Astral Chain, and we just can't wait.
Now, Platinum Games is also known for bosses that scale to basically skyscraper size and are ridiculously, insanely over the top. Is that something we're going to get to see here too eventually?
You know what? If we make it through the demo, there's a little bit of a boss fight, but I will say this is just a very, very small sampling. And things get worse, or I should say, things get way more interesting and better. So yeah, can't wait for the game to come out.
Cool. Well, we do have to cut it short, so unfortunately we can't show the entire demo right here. But there's plenty more. Astral Chain is out on August 30th, and I cannot wait to play it. Hey, Max, what's up next on IGN Live, you lovable talking palm tree?
Well, thank you, Brian. Coming up next, we take a journey to a desolate ancient land filled with unspeakable terrors known to some as Massachusetts. That is in the Lovecraftian horror adventure, The Sinking City. IGN Live at E3 will be right back after this.